everybody. Today there will be this oral presentation, which I hope that will be pretty short. And if I speak too fast, just stop me and tell me, Vincenzo, could you repeat once more what you said before? And yeah, so that's it. Today, the presentation will be divided in three main sections. In the first section, I will speak about the MSOI, which is a student association that is just born in our university. And actually, it's not properly a student association. It's something slightly different, but we will see that later. And in the second part, I will speak about a seminar, which will be held at the end of this course, so probably around the second or the third week of December. And hopefully, this seminar will feature your oral presentation. The oral presentation about your research proposal, because you are strongly invited to participate to this seminar, because I think it's really a good opportunity for you to check first of all, to check your speaking skills. And you can do that with your colleagues, which I think is a good moment, because you can discuss about that topic with your colleagues. I think it's much easier to do that with your colleagues than to do that during the exam. Because as you know, you're asked to write down a research proposal and then to discuss it with the teacher for your final exam. And I think that it could be a good test for you to participate to the seminar and discuss about your idea. Because if you choose a topic and you write down something, a research proposal about that topic, you trust that that topic is interesting. So if it's interesting, you definitely should come and speak with your colleagues about it. And then in the third section, finally, I will speak about the topic of my research proposal, which will be also the topic of my oral presentation for the seminar. So let's start with the oral presentation. First of all, I would like to introduce to you the MSOI, which is the Student Movement for International Organization. As I mentioned before, as I told you before, it's not properly a student association because it doesn't have legal status. Do you know what I mean when I say legal status? Just try to guess. Try to guess it. What could be legal status? It's what we call in Italian personalità giuridica. So, it's not properly an association because it doesn't have legal status, because it's the youth and university section of the SIOI, which is the Italian Society for International Organization. This society is an international non-profit organization which was founded in 1944 in Rome. At that time, as you know, Italy was still a warring country. It was divided by war. And the aim of this SIOI was to promote and to improve the knowledge among people about international relations topic and to promote also the value of a more peaceful international community in order to achieve a worldwide cooperation. Since the foundation of the SIOI, its activities took place under the control of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So someone can ask, why is it like that? Why is it working under the control of the Minister of Foreign Affairs? Well, the answer is quite simple. It's just because at that time, Italy was not part of the United Nations Organization. And the SIOI was part of the so-called World Forum of United Nations Association, which is WFUNA, which is a World Forum of United Nations Association. And the SIOI was part of it. So we can say that the SIOI was the first link for Italy with the international community and with the United Nations system. And that is why it's working even right now under the control of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So if this is the aim of the SIOI, you can guess that the goal of the MSOI, which is the Youth and section is to promote and improve the knowledge and the understanding of young students about the international relations and worldwide cooperation. And you can ask, how does it work? How does it do that? I would say that the activities of the MSOI can be divided in two kinds. There are some more practice-oriented activities and theoretical, scientific-oriented activities. So it organizes conferences, seminars, debates, roundtables, workshops for the student concerning the topic that I mentioned before. And then it also provides information concerning the different opportunities to undertake courses of study, internships, trainership, and master's. So the aim is to promote an international culture among students. And then there are some more practice-oriented activities, because the MSOI sets up study trips, international exchanges, and it also organizes some delegations for the various simulations of the international body, of the international system. So, for example, there are the so-called Model United Nations, which are, as you can guess, simulation of the United Nations system. But there are many other kind of simulation. For example, there is the simulation of the European Parliament, which is called Model of the European Parliament. So there are many simulations of many other bodies or of many other international organizations. Yeah, and that's it. And before going to the second section, I will just say that as of May 2012, there were just 5 groups of this student movement, and they were in Turin, in Milan, Gorizia, Rome, and Naples. But there was no group under Naples. So here we come. The MSOI Cosenza was founded in May 5, 2012, during a national council of all of the other groups. And we started to make a program for all of the activities that you would like to do, all of that kind of activities that I mentioned before. And so that's why we are trying to organize this seminar on peace, thanks to the collaboration of the Professor Argondizzo, which is a seminar, and it's an open seminar. It's a multi-level analysis on the dynamics and perspective for the implementation of peace. And so the main topic, the general topic is peace, and it's a pretty wide topic. And what I would like to underline is the fact that it's really open to all of you. It will be held at the end of this course during the second or the third week of December, as I said before. And you will feature this seminar with your oral presentation. And it's open for all students, so I'm specifically addressing to you to participate. But if you know anyone else interested in having just a discussion or a conversation about some topic, you can invite him and say, oh, you know, there is this seminar, and we can speak about it together. I'm really trying. Yeah, so that's it. Before I say that it's a multi-level analysis on the dynamics and perspective of peace, but what do I mean when I say multi-level? It could sound silly and probably not original that peace is actually a wide and multifaceted topic. It's really polyhedral because you can really address this topic from many points of view, from a more abstract point of view or from a more concrete point of view. I mean that, for example, you can study a concrete case study, like, I don't know, a particular conflict and a particular mission of the UN, or you can also study something more general, like you can study peacekeeping mission in general, or the functioning of the European Union in promoting peace. I don't know, there are really many kind of research that you can do about that. And because peace is, let's say that it's more a dynamic process than a static condition. And then it's not just, doesn't just mean absence of international war and war inside one country, but it also means absence of high level of, let's say, okay, low level of social conflict, or high level of social, economical, cultural, and political integration between some countries. So, for example, you can think about something that apparently, at the first glance, doesn't seem so related to peace, which, for example, is the European neighborhood policy. Because the European neighborhood policy, does anybody knows what's the name in Italian? Esatto, yeah. The European neighborhood policy is that policy. Would you like to try to have a definition, to make a definition about the European neighborhood policy? Okay, the European neighborhood policy is that policy that the EU formulates for those countries that are not candidates, that are not members, and that are not likely to be candidate nor members in the next future. So it's a way to get this country involved in the European market, but in different way in comparison with members and candidates. And someone could say that, okay, what does it have to do with peace? Well, some scholars argued that this policy was good to stabilize some country in the Balkans, because having such a big economic player really, really close as the EU is, was, according to some scholars, was a good thing for those countries, because they started to aim at the access in the European Union. So it is, for example, for Croatia, and Slovenia is already a member of the EU. And this could be seen as a proof of the fact that some of the country, because of the European neighborhood policy and because of their will to enter in the EU, they started to stabilize in a way, also from a political point of view, even if the European neighborhood policy was just an economical policy, mainly. So you can see how really there are many topics and many things that you can relate to peace. And before I say that you can study some concrete things and you can have a case study. And that's what I actually will be doing in the next weeks, because I will focus on the Darfur conflict and the UNAMID peacekeeping mission, which is a case study because it doesn't, it's not focused on a continent, it's not focused on a peacekeeping mission in general, but it's focused on a particular peacekeeping mission in the particular conflict. It was a local conflict between sedentarian nomad tribes, mainly they are African and Arab tribes, and for water and land scarcity. And this conflict then turned it into a major conflict, national insurgency, and then into an international conflict, because some of the bordering countries of the region of Darfur, which is a region of Sudan, started to be involved in the conflict somehow, because of many dynamics. And so Chad, Libya, and the Central African Republic, which are not properly stable country, started to be involved in this conflict. And so this is really an international conflict. And what I wanted to underline is the fact that probably at the beginning was triggered by land and water scarcity. So I will address those two questions. The first one is, can water and land scarcity trigger major conflict? And the answer is probably yes. And then I would like to address specifically another question, and it's how does it work with the social distribution of the resources? Because it's true that physically there could be a water and land scarcity, but what about the way that those resources are distributed among people? And so I will also try to answer those questions. So actually, I will do a step more than a research proposal, because I will try to make some conclusive remarks. But you can, for the seminar, you can really just come here and have a discussion about some topic that you trust is important, that you think is important. And then I will address the second question, which is, what's the role played by UNAMID peacekeeping mission? Because those kind of mission, I will say that probably are just political and military tool to make the warring parties reach an agreement, a peace agreement, which is anyway a good thing. But they are not addressing the correct, they are not addressing the problem at the roots. Because probably the, how to say, the trigger of this conflict was the fact that there was no water and not enough land. And then there was also an unequal social distribution of resources. But that's what I'm going to study in the next week, and I will speak about it in the seminar. So I strongly invite you once more to take part in the seminar. This is the description, this is the title of the seminar, but actually this is a really good opportunity for you to shape the seminar, because if you participate with your oral presentation, you will shape the topic of the seminar. It could be a seminar of just case studies, or it could be a seminar of case studies and abstract topic. So that's it. If you have any question, the presentation is over, and I would like to thank you for your attention.